Well, hello, and thank you very much for clicking on this video today. So, it's a funny thing. You do a video, and then at the end of it, you kind of muse, oh, I don't think Nigel Farage is going to go anywhere. He's not going to resign. And then he does. And then you read the headline again, and then you're like, oh, he kind of isn't resigning. He's just resigning so that he can stand for re-election. Oh, okay. So, let's go through this. So Nigel Farage has basically been a magnificent drama queen, essentially. So he has resigned as an MP to force a by-election after the donation scandals that he's been kind of rocked with. So he's kind of said this: I will continue to fight the political revolution that reform has started, and this follows intense pressure from these long-term ally, convicted fraudster, George Cottrell, providing funding for security staffing in the year before he was elected. And this is the latest of the many financial scandals which we talked about in the previous video. That's kind of rocked Nigel Farage, who's already been investigated by the Standards Commissioner over the £5 million gift to the MP that he received from the crypto billionaire Christopher Harborne. Now, Nigel Farage has never been short on drama. His lengthy 20-minute speech, which was not a press conference, he didn't take questions, it was basically just a pre-prepared rant, essentially, which the BBC and Sky just aired. They just aired it without any... it's like this wasn't a press conference, so there's no opportunity for journalists to ask questions. They basically just aired a party political for reform. And it was mostly a rant about how the media establishment out to get him by, reporting facts and things like that, and actually holding him under scrutiny. And what is clear is that he's struggling to cope with the level of scrutiny that he finds himself under. And he is, by his own admission, he said he's an angry man. And much of this was directed at Sky News and the Sunday Times for publishing a picture, and in the case of the Sky News, they approached one of the many properties where his daughter lives, and that apparently upset him, even though that's not uncommon. Like they probably just wanted to see if they could get her for a conversation, for an interview. That's really nothing. And the kind of interesting thing is he's framing this as, oh, this is the revolution versus the establishment. The establishment is out to get me, but dude, you are the establishment. What the fuck are you talking about? You're basically just a more far right-wing political party than the Conservatives. Most of your MPs, a huge chunk of your councillors, the ones that haven't resigned or defected, that is, were members of the Conservative Party. What are you talking about? And now he's basically throwing a massive hissy fit over being exposed for taking money from some, shall we say, some really shady characters. And one thing that having looked through his mad rant, is that he said, over the last 2 years, I've really enjoyed the job of being an MP, which is funny because, as people have pointed out, he has missed 63% of votes. In the House of Commons, he doesn't attend at all. So I'm sure you'll be thrilled to know that as a taxpayer, I'm sure I'm thrilled to know that because of this weird psychodrama of him basically not being able to handle any criticism whatsoever, we're basically going to have to fork out money for another by-election in Clacton, which, he'll probably win. The demographics there are relatively favourable for him. The Conservatives could potentially take it because they did hold it in the past, but I don't know. Having seen kind of what the kind of reform kind of cultists, I use that term kind of cultist quite aptly, I think, because it just reminds me of kind of like the hardcore Trump people who, even though you point out Trump's many financial scandals that he's got himself involved in, the fact that he's very clearly doing things like insider trading, which he himself has kind of admitted to quite brazenly, you can present them with all of these dodgy things, all this evidence, and they just kind of shake their head, put their fingers in their ears and go, no, not going to listen. And basically what he's hoping for is that this is going to give him some kind of legitimacy, that if he wins, that would mean that everything that he might have done, every rule that he might have broken, it's going to be okay. Dude, it's not going to be okay. I don't think the rest of the country is going to take whether Clacton elects him or not as some kind of endorsement over what he's been up to. Dude, it's very clear you are being investigated for taking substantial amounts of money that you have not declared, which you should have declared, because as a lot of people have pointed out, when it comes to MPs declaring money that they have received, gifts, other kind of possible financial benefits, the rule of thumb is, if in doubt, declare it, because if you declare it, then at the very least, no one can accuse you of not declaring it. No one can accuse you of trying to hide it. So, coming back, this is kind of a bit of a kind of rant here from me. So summarising, what can we expect? Well, I suspect that what we will see is that the Reform people will really try to present this as the establishment versus the kind of anti-establishment, even though, as I've said, they very obviously take establishment money. A lot of the people that actually donate to Reform used to donate to the Conservative Party. They're just a more right-wing version of them, essentially. They're not really any different. So how exactly are they anti-establishment? Exactly. And I want to read some quotes, because there's some good quotes from some of the other leaders have chimed in. Ed Davey, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, said, Nigel Farage has spent his whole life dodging responsibility for his actions. This new stunt is his latest attempt to escape consequences for his biggest grift. We won't let him. And Zach Lansky, the leader of the Green Party, said that his whole political project is about protecting wealth and power of the establishment. And so, what do you think? Do you think that this is a good move by him? Do you think that this will be able to distract people from kind of what he's been accused of? Because bearing in mind, this won't have any effect, if he wins or not, on what the Standards Authority is going to come back with, whether they find him guilty or not. And there is some commentary that I've seen that have said, well, this is a kind of admission of guilt, and I'll say why. Because one of the potential consequences that could happen if he is found guilty is that he could face a by-election. And so what he's trying to do is basically get out ahead of it by calling it now, so that he doesn't look quite as guilty, so it doesn't look quite as bad for him if he's found guilty, which is an interesting theory, and I think it's very possibly what is actually going on here, as an attempt to try and get out ahead of it, essentially. And I'd just like to read something else, which comes from a particular journalist. He says, the establishment, noun, elitist journalists who outrageously expose the leader of a political party for doing what all ordinary, honest working people do, cheating, grifting, hiding millions of pounds in donations from fraudsters and overseas billionaires. I think that pretty much sums it up. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to this. Nigel Farage is kind of resigning, but not really. It's a very weird situation that we find ourselves in. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to my little rant today, and I will catch you later. So, bye-bye. Oh, and actually, sorry, there's just a very quick aside. One thing that really bugged me is that he consistently talked about how he is the most attacked person that has ever been, playing the old Trump tactic of going, I am so victimized. Dramatic pause, shock. No one has ever been more victimized than me. Woe is me. Feel bad for me. Dude, you know that 2 MPs in the past decade have actually been killed? There was that Conservative guy, whose name I forget, and there was Joe Cox, the Labour MP. 2 MPs have actually been killed. And several MPs over the years have been sent legitimate rape and death threats. And you're out there swanning around pretending that you're somehow being victimized because people are asking you really basic questions like, hey, those donations which you took and didn't disclose, what's going on with that? Ugh, it's pathetic. Anyway, that's enough of my little aside. See you another time. Bye-bye.